Show with our special guest. We're talking speed today, as I said at the beginning of the show. Speed on the ice with a skating and skills coach for the Edmonton Oilers, Steve Serdachny, and Stephan Rzadinski. Is that good enough for me?
Yeah, Stephan Rzadinski.
You know what? There's a whole lot of Zeds in that. That you'd be a good Scrabble.
Yeah,
name, probably,
everything's better with a Z.
Yeah, I agree. Scheetz has got a Z at the end of it as well. Serdachny?
There's no Z.
No, just
The last letter in the alphabet. I'm okay. SS is good.
That'll work. We're talking about, again, the Oiler experience as well for you, and a bunch of other really cool things going around the world, and seeing how people approach hockey differently, how they approach cultures differently. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But Stephan, first of all, you you've been trying to get to the top of the heap here when it comes to the race car thing, and you said it's a lot about funding, but I do want to talk about it's all about guts and courage as well. I mean, at the end of the day, you can have the best car in the world, but you still got to get out on that track. And what's the fastest you've ever traveled in a race car?
I think I've done about 160, 170 miles an hour. In kilometers an hour, it's probably going 270, 280 kilometers an hour.
What would that photo radar ticket be?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not on the streets. My Nissan Versa doesn't exactly get me going that quickly.
Chris probably knows that on the way to Devon. That's very impressive speed, but I'm sure Chris has been close to that running home.
Steve, I'm just like you. I go the speed limit. Go the speed limit. But I do get scared every day when I get the mail and just go, please, not one of those things. But anyway, so what does that do to your family? I mean, when they see you get in that car and know that there are inherent risks to that lifestyle.
I don't really know. I mean, it's something where you kind of sit back and think of it. If you were in their position, what would you think? And I guess my dad's did it for a little bit, so my mom was kind of introduced to it. So even before me.
Yeah.
But when I got into it, obviously she was very nervous. But we're kind of just going with it, and they know the risks involved. But it's also one of those things where they know it's what I want to do, and they're not going to really prevent that. And my dad's obviously been around the sport, so he's probably pretty comfortable with it. And my mom, I'm sure, has her worries, and I'm sure my dad as well. But it's one of those things where you can't really, as a driver, you can't think of that when you're driving, because you can't get the most out of yourself. I mean, you can't give it 9/10 and expect to win.
No.
So you kind
it's flat out or nothing, right?
Exactly.
That's the way it goes. And I mean, again, there's inherent risks in hockey as well, Steve. And you imagine your young son Noah being a race car driver, or my son Carter being a race car driver, be like, ooh, ay. But whatever they want to do, they want to do. Hockey's, there's inherent risks in hockey as well that parents have to be aware of.
Yeah, well, for sure. Like if it's race car driving, or if it's hockey, or if it's any sport, there's risks in kids riding their bike in the cul-de-sac or walking across the street. I think that it's important for young people and kids and parents to just enjoy life and try to teach the lessons to your children to be as safe and responsible as possible. And that doesn't matter if it's motorsports, driving your car, driving your bicycle, or playing in the park. I think there's risks in any sport, and hockey specifically, or football. I think that it's just important that kids do play sport, and they get the opportunity to develop themselves, especially through the game of hockey. I'm obviously a big proponent for hockey, but I was also watching the Indy 500, watching a 3-time champion win in the IndyCar, which was amazing, and just honoring the death of Dan Weldon the previous year. It was an amazing thing to do. But I'm a fan of all sports, Chris, as you know, and we talk about it quite often. I'm a big NFL fan. There's not a sport, if it's golf or if it's baseball or basketball, I love them all, and I think it's really important as a fabric to our society that the kids get the opportunity to play team sports. Mm-hmm. Individual sports are fantastic as well, and I think they're a big part of growing up, but I'm a really big fan of it, and I just know that our kids and our society turns out a lot different. Specifically with the game of hockey, because of the length of season, the duration of the season, and the locker room atmosphere, and in the climate that we live in. I think that it doesn't just build good hockey players; it just builds good people. And I'd like to see that not just for our own kids, but for all kids.